Yeah, yeah, yeah. Roll up the green, hit the links with RGB. Pitch, putt, and puff, it's our podcast scene. Talking Burt and Bogies, hole in one dream. Golf cart cruising, we're the illest team. Pitch, putt, and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff. Got my clubs in the trunk, blunt in the front. Tee off in the noon, cause we don't bunt. Discuss in the course, weed strains for lunch. Straight shooters on the greens, not a front. Pitch, put and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff. Smoking aces, laces tied tight. With a puff we fly, elevate the night. Golf ball soaring, higher than a kite. Fairway to heaven, shining real bright. Pitch, put and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff.
And welcome back to another episode of the Pitch, Putt, and Puff podcast. My name is Roger, a.k.a. RGB. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Before we get going with our guests, we're going to be going out to the West Coast tonight. A little California, a little bit about the California cannabis world. Before we do that, we're going to talk about some sponsors. Starting off with Transcend Wellness, 289 Oakwood Avenue in Troy, New York State's first licensed dispensary to have a drive-through. Make sure you guys go take advantage of that. You can check them out, transcendwps.com. They have everything you're looking for: flower, pre-rolls, edibles, tinctures, vapes, you name it, they got it over there. So stop in, see Junior and the crew. Make sure you let them know the Pitch, Putt, and Puff crew sent you. If you don't feel like popping in, you can go online and set up delivery service as well. Once again, 289 Oakwood Avenue, transcendwps.com. Go check them out. Let them know the Pitch, Putt, and Puff crew sent you. Also, before we get cooking, we're going to give a shout out to our guys over at Shady Shafts. Shady Shafts offers wraps for your drivers, irons, wedges, putters, you name it. Can pretty much put them on any club, variety of different styles, camouflage, smoke effect, a style for every golfer. So go check them out at shadyshafts.com. Use promo code PUFF20. PUFF20 will save you 20%. You can also get some minor customizations where I had RGB put on the shaft as well. So go check them out. Real easy to apply. Shadyshafts.com, promo code PUFF20 to save yourself 20% at checkout. Then my guys over at Back Nine Botanicals doing big things in the CBD world, trying to take over the golf game with the CBD world here. So Back Nine Botanicals, something for every point of your day, from the Players Blend to the Birdie Boost, and cap it off with the Moonlight Mulligan. They also have the THC shots. Check them out here. The Passion Fruit, a great little mixer. Give you a nice little setup throughout the day. So go check them out at back9botanicals.com. They got a giveaway going on right now for a golf bag. Use promo code TPUFF10. TPUFF10 will save you 10% at checkout using the promo code TPUFF10 from the Pitch, Putt, and Puff. Really appreciate the Back Nine Botanicals. These guys have been big supporters of the podcast since I got introduced to them. So shout out to those guys over there and go give them some support. Going to take a quick second here, and they're going to bring on Browzee from California. She's a big supporter of the We Don't Smoke the Same podcast, how I linked up with her. So we're here. What's going on out in Cali with the cannabis? And we're back here on the Pitch, Putt, and Puff. Joining me tonight from the West Coast, we got Browzee. What's up, Browzee? Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, what's up?
So I was introduced to Browzee from the We Don't Smoke the Same crew. She's a big supporter of those guys. Always
Same
super
team.
Chatting and everything else. Yeah, hashtag same team.
Same team.
And she was nice enough to hook me up with a beanie. We were just talking about it's about 5 degrees up here in New York. We're starting to warm up a little bit, but that beanie definitely came in handy down the home stretch here. So much appreciated.
Nice. Oh, nice.
So I always see you on the Insta or the YouTube with the We Don't Smoke the Same. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how your cannabis journey began?
Okay. So my cannabis journey began pretty much when I was around 13, 14. I hanged around, obviously everyone hangs around the wrong crowd. I'm a graffiti artist, we'll say that, not a tagger.
Okay.
Because it sounds kind of weird sometimes. But yeah, graffiti artist, started at 13, running around the wrong crowds, doing what. They got
Mm-hmm.
me into smoking chronic and stuff. So it's like it's been since there. Then I found out I was pregnant at 16. So I only lasted about 2, 3 years smoking.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant with my first child. So that's when I made the decision of saying, no, that's it. Like I have a reason why to cut this off for the moment or
Sure.
whatever. And I did. So I left that on hold. And after I went through a split of a separation for 15 after 15 years. So that kind of got me like into some dark places.
Sure.
And finally, one of my friends met him online gaming. Of course, I'm a gamer. Um, Sends me, tells me like, oh, come smoke, like, or come and kick it or whatever. So I met up with the guy and I was like, okay, cool. So ever since then, I've been smoking. So 5 years straight
Yeah.
back into smoking and it's like nonstop. It's been 24/7. So
That's crazy. And that's what you said. Like people don't realize that how much cannabis is actually a medicine too. It can get you out
yes.
of some dark times too. Like it can really
Yeah,
get you
yeah.
that motivation. It can do a lot of things for that. Like even like I know a lot of people who use it for just sleep in general, taking some
Yeah.
gummies
Oh,
for
of course, yeah.
you know.
Edibles and yeah, to finally catch some sleep and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yep, yep, for sure. So what kind of changes have you seen in the industry out there? Like is it still like a big scene on like the black market still a big scene considering you guys been open
Oh,
so long or what's it like
yeah.
out
No, I
there?
mean, the black market as day by day it actually expands more and it's actually like gets bigger by the day. So it's actually scarier knowing that there's more stuff. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
This is my order for Browzee. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm
You
picking up
good?
an order.
You're all good.
so
All good.
so um yeah, so there's a lot going on behind the scenes. It's a lot bigger than begging like legalizing it. Like it's just like to at this rate it's just like it's more expensive getting there from a legit dispensary or
Yep.
from a shop than having to go to a trap shop. It
Yep.
more or less. Because I mean you may not know what is tested on or what's good or not,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of people in Cali, it's regarding a bargain.
Right. Right.
Economical. I
It's
mean,
just
it's just the area that we live in and like how, they would rather save some money than having to worry about where it came from. So
right. Yeah. That's the same
that's the
kind of
sad part.
it is. It's kind of the same up here because New York and California, two of the highest tax states in the country.
Yes.
We get it. So like I know a couple growers and stuff like that, and I see some of these price lists that like what the dispensary is paying for it. But then once the dispensary gets, pre rolls or whatever, they might be
Yeah.
getting them for a decent price, but they got to pay their overhead. They got to pay the New York state tax. They got to pay all this other shit. So you're paying an extra $10, $15 on a pre roll by the time you're all said and done. It's really
Correct.
crazy where you can go like
Yes.
on like the we call it the legacy side, black market side. You can go and grab some flour for, I mean, you can get it for pretty cheap. So you can definitely save yourself a couple bucks where you're going to spend 50, 60. I mean, like an average price of a some good flour at the dispensary is probably about 50, 60 bucks. That's crazy. Like that's to me, that's crazy. I haven't paid that in 20 years, so it's a little wild. It's a little wild. What are you guys paying for like eighths and quarters out there in those dispensaries?
Hold on, give me 1 second. What's going on here?
Guys, what are you guys paying out there for like eighths and stuff
For
in a
the eighth,
dispensary?
usually dispensaries are running up from 35 for an eighth and up. If
Yeah.
you find something cheaper, it's more like it's either fake, nothing that is really tested, or pretty much in the black market.
Yeah. Lower
In
THC
other words,
levels and yeah.
yeah, yeah, they don't actually narrow those down when you actually go to a shop that is not legal. So, I mean, like I said, it's just depending on your economical status.
Hmm.
What you they a lot of people don't even know what is wheat, like what good wheat tastes like,
Right.
unless you're actual smoker. You'll notice the difference between knowing the strains, the crosses, knowing where it comes from originally, then getting to know where it's headed to. Because there's so many crosses now. Originally, like how many OGs are they?
Right. Oh yeah.
And then how many do they cross to get to another one? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's a never ending. So it's like you never know where it really came from
Right.
at the end of the day. Not
No.
unless if it's legal. Even legally, sometimes you don't even get to those numbers.
Right.
Just that's how big it is.
That's how it is out here too. Like, I feel like it's in a way it's getting like we had sour diesel was a New York thing. New York sour
Yeah.
was
So yeah,
popping. Like
it's known. Yeah, New
it's
York is known
known.
for that.
Like that's the strain.
Hmm.
Like back in the day, if you got your hands on, like you went in somewhere, you walked in somewhere,
Yeah.
and you knew people knew you smelled like sour. Like that's
Yeah.
it had that smell to it. But
Right.
now, like I think it's so got so watered down and crossed over so much that it kind of keep getting it's watered down. It's not we're never gonna get that sour or that original OG Kush that we had back in the day kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no. I mean,
It's
to get
gone.
that, you would, yeah. It's like trying to bring someone back to life.
Yeah, pretty
It
much.
is. It's. Mm.
I'm curious.
And if you do, it's gonna cost you a pretty penny.
Exactly. Exactly.
And people are not willing. I mean, unless you have it like that, or you really in need for it,
Hmm.
you'll pay for it. Other than
Right.
that, no one is.
It's one of those things. Like even when I like, I'll go grab something off of E Zone Secret Menu every once in a while,
Hmm.
and even that kind of to me sometimes because of like what I can do here, it's kind of like a treat to myself. Like I grabbed a couple chiclets, and then I always grab some propens, but I tried out the
Yeah.
chiclets hash hole. The
Yeah.
difference between what you guys have out there compared to what I have out here, like I usually don't put a joint out. I put that thing out halfway through. I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna save this again for later. Like, you know what I'm saying? That don't normally
You're
happen
like
with me. So
you're like I don't get this every day, so treat
exactly.
myself.
And it's not like I can just go to the store and grab one, the next day too.
Yeah, so
So
you kind of appreciate it a little bit more because it's not something you could get out there, or
exactly.
at least maybe you could, but not the same quality.
That's what it is. That's definitely what it
I
is.
mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, I hate when they come when people I've seen because I've worked in dispensaries and as a mobile bud tender, and I
Hmm.
hate when a lot of people out of state say, "Oh, Cali has the worst weed." I don't know why they say it's so good. I'm like, okay, first of all, it's funny that they say that, but where do everyone come from?
Yeah. Yep.
Everyone comes to Cali or they go to New York or they go to other places. I mean, what can you really find in Florida?
Yeah. You ain't finding shit in Florida. I was just down there a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. I'm like, you ain't gonna find shit. A lot of people from Texas come to Cali for that. A
Yep.
lot of people who are willing to pay, they're willing to drive and get anything from out here as long as it's from California.
Yep. No,
And it's actually to them it's cheaper than what they could get it out there for,
and they're
which
getting
is
better
sad.
quality. And they're getting better quality.
They're getting better quality and they know what they're smoking
Yeah.
at the
That's the other
end.
thing. Yep.
California is very strict when it comes to that, and if you have someone who's truly honest, like to say, for us, we have the luxury with having E Zone,
Yeah.
so he knows top tier weed.
Yep.
A lot of us smokers do know top tier weed, and I tried his weed and it's good. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not. Hadar is one of the brands.
Yep.
Luckily, Chicklets is fairly new, and you know that, so I
Yep.
haven't really gotten to get there. But I mean, obviously, if they're there, it's for a reason.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I
Yeah,
said too.
if they're there, it's like Hadar is there, Chicklets is there. What was that? Any sponsor that you have at the show when it comes to Ezone or Be Real or just them in general
Hmm.
speaks volumes. So it's like they're not gonna get anyone just in there. So that's the one person you trust because obviously he knows about weed. They know
Hmm.
about weed.
Yeah. Those dudes are.
Th-
Those dudes are on their shit. I mean, especially obviously
yeah,
be real and company. I mean, they've been doing it for 30
correct,
plus years now, so
correct. Yeah.
they know the game. They
I
definitely
mean,
know the
I
game.
mean, you're not gonna get any better than that. I mean,
No,
you might, but I hardly doubt it. Once you get into their level of type of flower,
yeah, it's
you're not
different.
going nowhere. Yeah, you're not gonna go nowhere else. It's a different high. You have to have those lungs to smoke really what they really smoke
And
because
like
not everybody could do it.
the podcast name speaks for itself. Like we don't smoke the
Correct.
same.
We
Like
don't.
you
Yeah,
know,
we don't.
you don't.
You
I
don't.
did a super chat one day. I was like, yo, I can actually say for the first time because I think he was smoking the chiclets and I was smoking watching the pot. I was like, we do smoke the same. You know, it's a secret menu.
I mean, that's a good thing about supporting, and I've always emphasized that when I super chat and stuff, because it's like I would rather support someone that I know is trying to come up and is coming from the bottom, going to up, instead of having to be up there, and at some point it's not what you think it is.
Yep,
So in
yep.
reality, it's like supporting little by little. A lot of people in there are not support. I don't say support more than $5, $2. Do your budget. Do whatever
Hmm.
you can in your what you really could afford. It's not because me, if I throw $50 or $100, not because I have it like that, but it's just like I would rather spend a little more and say, hey, my money went towards something that I support and I truly love it and I appreciate. Because at the end of the day, they talk straight facts.
Yeah, and
If
they're
you ever have doubts, you could always super chat and ask, "Hey, what do you guys suggest or opinion or any advice you may need, regardless if it's Z Zone, which
hmm
is We Don't Smoke the Same podcast, or the Be Real TV podcast, stream, I mean, either one,
yeah.
you get a response."
And let me tell you too, those guys, XG especially. So I'll give you a little behind the scenes how it all. So when I first started the podcast, I wasn't even doing video. I was just doing the audio, and I was just talking golf. Like I didn't really have a direction for it. Like I did the whole puff thing to try to be different because there's a lot of golf podcasts out there.
Hmm.
And then I messaged those guys. I was like, yo, is there any chance you guys would want to sponsor my podcast? And like, what do you want for it? I'm like, absolutely nothing. If you guys want to send me a t-shirt, whatever, like nothing. I just want to like make it look like someone's kind of got my back here or whatever. It,
Hmm.
it slowly like developed like a relationship, like we were messaging back and forth kind of thing. And
Hmm.
then XG came out to Connecticut, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. And I made the ride out, went to the comedy show, introduced myself, and then showed him the picture on my phone of the podcast. But it clicked to him. He's like, "Yo, dude," he goes, "For you coming to the show, I'll jump on the podcast." So I'm like, "All right." I ended up exchanging phone
Sweet.
numbers and shit. So I'm like,
Yeah.
my wife's sitting there and she's like, "Did he really just say that?" And I'm like 10 episodes, 15 episodes in at this point, like not even like
Hmm.
really know what the hell I'm doing. So I ended up getting him on. Then
Hmm.
he now like if I have questions about shit, hey, I'm looking to get a
Yeah.
camera for this. I'll shoot him a message. He'll get right back to me or shoot
Hmm.
me a text. Boom, get right back to me. Same with
Oh
Ezone.
yeah.
Like I had Ezone on. Like for these guys, I look at it for these guys to take the time out of their day and their businesses and everything else that they're doing
Yes.
to chop it up with me. Like much respect. Like I'll support you in any way I can, kind of thing.
Yeah, of course, and even you just showing, going to the podcast, showing maybe $2 super chat if you're good, or just you being there and pressing the like button or sharing it or showing support and spreading it, the word of everyone. I mean, we're all going through the same thing. We all want the same thing in life. We want to succeed. We want to talk. We want to have an audience, or at least people who could relate to the topics that we want to bring out and be, inform and educate ourselves, because at the end of the day, we only got each other.
Yep. It's a
So
small community. It's a big community, but it's a small community at the same time.
correct.
So that
Yes,
and
the cannabis community, it's very big, like you say, it's big, but at the same time, we're really tight. So
mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
It's really small circles that it's like, okay, it's small that if you fuck up one way or other, everyone will know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the scary part of being out there in the media, and people don't not realize, like, hey, be careful what you put out there, be careful
Hmm.
what you post, because not everything is what it seems to be. So
That's right.
I mean,
And I noticed too, like in New York, I should say, is a lot of like when people have haters, it comes from outside of the cannabis world. And like where like
mm,
social media wise, like I've seen a couple people's pages get wiped right out because of someone flagging so many posts or whatever, and then
yeah,
boom, they're gone. It's like, damn, man, people
yeah,
work on that. Like this is tough to get the brand out, especially when you have cannabis tied
yeah.
to it. So you got to support any way you can.
Yeah. And then, especially like you said, if cannabis is tied to you at any point, given either your social, your private, or anything, anything you put out there when you have cannabis included in it, you're automatically like they look at you like you're the wrong person. Like
Right.
you're at fault. Like
Yep.
you have no reason to be in any of this. But in reality, it's not like I always said. I tell people, don't see it as a drug because it's really not. It's medicinal.
Yep.
Let's go back years. Our ancestors would you use what plants?
Mm-hmm.
What is a cannabis? It's a plant.
Yep.
Where does it come from? Yes, it does use nutrients, it does use certain things, but it's to help it grow. It's not to damage it, to taint it, or to make it seem like, oh, okay, so it's not like fentanyl, in
Right.
other words, you know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like at least at that point it's like it's you could stop smoking. I'm one of the persons that could testify for that. You could. It's not
Yep.
you not stopping it. It's your self power and yourself pretty much you wanting to stop or having a reason to do so or continue or actually start smoking because you need to. It is helpful to me. It did help me because I suffer from anxiety first of all,
Mm-hmm.
so it helps me relax at some point where it's like I'm so like pumped up and doing all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of like slows me down. It's like, wait, you need to relax and remember and kind of
Brings
shift
a
down a
balance.
little.
Gives you a balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a balance. And
Yep.
people don't see that. Really, in reality, behavioral disabilities are chemical imbalances. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're finding another chemical that, I mean, they could see it like that, and it's really not a chemical. If you see the imbalance in yourself, you have to take initiative in doing something for it. No one else. A doctor is gonna give you what, a pill for that,
Yep.
and you're
Yep.
gonna be stuck on like this is where I say that's where people are wrong. I mean, like if you're willing to take 7, 10 pills a day just to balance yourself, then you need to find other alternatives, not to damage yourself either way. Pills damage your liver.
Yeah. Over time, you're
Not
gonna pay for it one way or the other.
mhm. Yeah. So
It's so
I
true.
mean, it's like in reality, it's just to each person have their own reasons why they're into it or why they started smoking. Or I mean, some people, I mean, find it do it for fun or for the culture or for the
Right.
Insta. But in reality, it's not to look cool. It's something. It goes deeper than that. If you're a true smoker, it's deeper than that.
Right.
It's not a trend. It's not like, oh, I look cool smoking and I'm hanging out with all these brands and it's
Yep.
just the hype. No, it's not that. It's just you really need to be educated in what you're smoking and putting in
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because if you don't, then sadly it's where it comes out that,
Right. And it's
they could give you anything.
right. And it's funny you're saying this too, because I was just saying on a couple podcasts ago, I was talking to someone about this. Back in the day, we didn't know what we were smoking. We just got the fire from our buddy. We didn't know if it was indica, sativa, where we
It
were
was just
getting
a
it
plug.
from. It was just a plug, right? And now it's to the point where, like, all right, I like indicas during the day. I like or sativa during the day. I like indicas at night. I know this like helps with pain. This is going to put me to sleep. Boom, boom, boom. Like I'm
Yes.
noticing these
And
different things. It's the education of it too.
correct. Yeah. And then that way you know your body, because as well, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like smoking because it does this to me. Okay, but what were you smoking? You need to
Right.
know what strength or what is it that you were smoking in order for you to understand. Maybe that's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me and personally, I try not to smoke sativa because it really, if I'm already anxiety, I already have anxiety, that's not gonna help me. That's
Right.
something that is gonna like make me have a trip. So in reality, I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yep.
So, and if I do a hybrid, I have to know what strength is overpowering
Yeah.
than,
Which
what I
way is
mean,
it leaning? Yep.
what way is it going lean more towards? Because if it's indica, then I'll go for it. But it's sativa, it would be more like, okay, like you say, for the day, sativa would be perfect because it keeps you up and, you know,
Yep.
functional. Comparing to indica, yeah, that's more like a mellow. So, I mean, it's just people need to really educate themselves nowadays, and it's not all bad. It's
No.
not all what they say that, oh, it's a bad. Well, I mean,
We
like,
were
how
lied
many
to as
people
kids. The
really?
Dare program lied to you. That's the best. You know, you were lied to by Dare. And then people
Yeah.
got brainwashed by that. And ever since then, they just can't get that. That's what they see when they think of, oh,
Yeah.
there's some
And see,
stoners
the
sitting
thing is that
around.
they added cannabis to that, which it shouldn't have been because it's not a drug. So
Right.
that's where they lie to us, and
Yep.
they manipulate it to like, oh, that's not cool, or you're supposed to not like that, and get away from that. So
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
that's just people have difference. And then I mean, with me, my journey started like in reality with smoking. It was that going back because of my split. But I mean, when it comes to how did I come across E-Zone, it's funny because my roommate, which is my ex, um got me into the Be Real. I would see and I would hear E-Zone and Be Real, and I would hear the streams, the YouTube and his Twitch and stuff like in the background when I would see him at work.
Yep.
And then one day I finally I when I went through this whole fall off at the end, in the beginning of last year, I went through some dark time as well, like really, really low where I got issues with my heart. So when they say, oh, that person got heartbroken, in reality, medically, there is such a thing.
Right.
And it's
Huh.
crazy because I would have never thought of that.
Right.
And I study in the medical field. So it's like when I went through it, I was like, oh my God. So it's real. So I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. So even at that, that happened. So when I got into the B Roll show, I seen Ezone, and my ex would watch Ezone. So then I was like, okay, so let me see. We don't smoke the same. Okay, sounds kind of interesting. I mean, what do they
Yeah.
smoke? I was like, what do they smoke? If we don't, if we are not smoking the same thing, what are you smoking that I'm not smoking?
hmm
So I got into it, and then ever since then, and it was just in August of last year. So it still
Okay.
took me maybe like half a year to go through that dark place, and until they finally said enough is enough. They see me so low where I was just like, no, my way out was something that most people tell me like, no, Browsy, how can you think of that? You have kids, and
Yeah.
you're a kind soul, you're a spiritual soul, you're energy. So how is it that, I mean, like, I tell a lot of people, I myself compare to Robin Williams because Robin Williams was a comedian. And
hmm
sometimes that's what's scary that a lot of people don't realize. When you're a comedian, you make other people laugh. But in reality, who makes you laugh?
Yep.
So
Sometimes
that's where,
it's the guy in the room who's laughing and joking around the most that's hurting the most too, you know?
correct.
So,
And,
yep.
and then that's why sometimes I pay attention to a lot of the people, like even on the chats or even like stuff like that. I always offer like, hey, it's real. I'm here. You need to let it out, talk
Yep.
it out, get an advice. Anything. I mean, you could always give me my DMs and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking into this. I'm going through this. In your experiences, because I mean, I am 39, so I have my fair share of experiences.
Sure.
So it's like I have 4 kids. My oldest is 23 years old. So I might not look that old, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm that old.
Yeah. I got a couple years on you. I'm 41. So, yeah, I've had the
Yeah. I
same
mean,
thing. We lived it.
yeah, so they're like, yeah. So even at that, it's just like we actually know more to say to reach out than the younger crowds.
Yep.
Even at now, they try to even see it as well. We're like, okay, they're thinking more of those topics now, more or less,
Yeah.
because it's a bigger issue now. It's not taboo like before. We're like, oh, there's mental awareness. Before there wasn't any. People
Nothing.
didn't take it serious, and people were like, ah, you're just crazy. You just need to,
They would just medicate him.
brush it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
brush it off,
Yep. So
or
crazy how
or
shit
or get
changed.
or get medicated as well. And I do have I try to avoid the medication for so long that I was just like, it drove me to the point that I was thinking like
Yeah.
suicidal thoughts.
Yep.
So even at that, I was like, no. I said, enough is enough. People saw me at my lowest and said, you know what, we're gonna step in and say, no, that's something we're not gonna agree to, because in 2020, I already had done my 5150. So I was already a survivor once.
hmm
So my family is really like into like, okay, do what makes you happy. My kids always tell me like, mom, do what makes you happy.
Yep.
Don't care. Don't worry about words. At the end of the day, if we die in 10 seconds, we're going to say we lived our life. we
Yep.
to the fullest. We did what we wanted to. We experienced. We went for it. We said, okay, this is what it is. This is life. So now it's like I emphasize more like, hey, people do matter.
Yeah.
So it's like emotions and feelings, people need to take a little bit more a step back and say, you know what, think about what you're gonna really say and do to someone because you never know. That might be that
Yep.
one little choice that you did not think over and that person just really took off and
Yeah. Yep.
did
You
something
never
else. So
know
it's
what
like
someone's going through.
exactly.
You never
So
know.
and I mean that like I said, I just been messing around with the We Don't Smoke the Same podcast ever since I went to the first live in Sherman
Okay.
Oaks. And ever since then, it's like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I do for both of the shows. So it's like because I do find that they do care for you genuinely. It's not one is business, of course, but they do take their time out of their busy days, like you say, to even appreciate us or even acknowledging us and saying, you know what, hey, I do know you. I know who you are. If you mention your name, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, we know who she is.
Yep.
So it's like even with me, they're like, "Oh, we know who Browsy is," and it's like I've always said it. I'm always open. Like if you ever need me for whatever reason, I'm there. You know, like
Yep.
if I could, if it's in my power, I'm gonna be there.
Do what
So
you can. Oh yeah. Same.
of course, I mean,
That's
I
what it's
could
got to
even
be.
sometimes I always say I'll give whatever I have or take whatever I have to give to you if that's what you really need or if you really don't have anything.
Hmm.
Because some of us are luckier than others. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
I
gotta.
take my blessings of waking up and being here and
Yep.
say, okay, well, let's
Day
try
by
another
day.
day.
Day by day.
Let's try another, yeah, day by day. Let's try another
That's it.
day. If
That's
it didn't
it.
work out today, maybe tomorrow's
We're
better.
gonna
So,
tomorrow's gonna be a better one. That's all. No
right.
doubt. No doubt. So, Browsy, I'd like to wrap up with. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so
No,
I'd
yeah,
like to wrap
that's
up with
fine.
three questions. Um,
Fine. Yes.
we'll keep them in the cannabis world here. What's your favorite strain? If you were trapped on an island, what would be the strain you would bring with you?
Or it would be, and it would have to be an OG.
Okay.
King Louis would be one of my,
Oh, okay.
King Louis would be one of my options. Obviously, I work for originals. So King Louis would be one of my strengths that I mean, I have to go with
Nice.
an OG.
Nice. Yeah, mine would be sour. I was always a sour guy. Sour is
Yeah.
just I grew up on it kind of thing. It was
Yeah,
always
it's like I say, once you grow up in an OG, any other cross,
it's not the same.
it's good, it's tasty, but it's not the same. It's not an OG. It's not genuinely like from what it started from.
Right. Yeah, I would like to get what's Pacalolo flies on there. I want to hear about the Mary genetics stuff. I want to see what that's all about because I'd like to see if she could bring back sour diesel, bring it back for her. Shit.
Yeah. Give
Um.
us a little taste of, bring those all good old days, just
Yeah,
maybe for a day or two.
yeah, a little Back to the Future or whatever. Just bring it back one
Oh, of
time.
course.
Um. What do you prefer to smoke? Are you question two here? What your preference to smoking? Joints, blunts, bongs, whatever, bowls, dabs.
It's a mix of everything, but in reality, my preference is now once I started dabbing, it's a dab.
Okay.
So it's taking concentrates and dabbing and bong rips and I mean it's whenever you could get a clean rip from a bong, it's like a little kid with a brand new toy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for us smokers, I mean, to me it's a bong. I
A
mean,
nice
it's
fresh
a
one.
clean
Yep.
rip,
Yep.
fresh one. Yes.
Yep. I just
You
started.
can't go wrong with that one.
No, I just started doing the dabs a little bit. When they first came around here was probably 2012, and I didn't like you had the torch and everything else. It was too much for me back then, so I was still just smoke a joint and chill. And then now
Mhm.
it's so much easier to do it. So they have it all set up. So I've been doing the dabs a little bit more, but I'm still a joint guy. I just like to sit back on the couch, relax, smoke a joint, watch
Yeah,
them.
and even at that, when you dab it, it's a lot less. I mean, it's smoke, but it's not gonna smell the same. So
Right.
it's a little bit more discreet in a way. So
Yep.
for us smokers, it's perfect.
Yep. It
The
is. It
less
is.
noisy you make, the less commotion you make with a smoke,
You're
the
right.
less
Yeah.
the less
Perfect.
and the less reactions you get to faces and them telling you like, "Oh, you're smoking." Like, get out of here, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So then the last question: three
Okay, yeah.
people you'd put in a sesh to smoke with. Who would they be?
Oh, in a stash.
Yeah,
Okay,
you got three.
I would put. Okay, I would put B real. That'll be one.
Yeah.
I would probably put Cali Blaze
Oh, nice.
would be my second one. Hash holes, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah,
If he's tagging them,
fellow New
I'm
Yorker.
I'm like, you can't go wrong there. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that would be B real, Cali Blaze, and Psycho Less for drinks.
Okay.
You have to have a balance.
Yep. Yep.
He smokes
That's
and
good.
drinks, so you have to kind of have a little balance in smoking and drinking. So yeah,
Balance
those
it
would
right
be my
out.
three people.
That's a good little crew right there. Then you got some entertainment too, because they can sit there and bust out some freestyles for you as well.
Hmm.
For
Of
sure.
course. I mean, it people would. I think that would be like one event that there's no words. You wouldn't be able to describe that scenario with them.
Yep. No doubt.
Being in the
That's
same room wouldn't be like, okay, there's no words.
yeah. You're just like, oh shit, this really happened.
I'm really smoking with them. Are we
Yep.
really smoking the same?
Yeah. Yep. I got a chance to this past summer. XG came back to Connecticut. I went to that same show. He
Mhm,
hooked me up, put me on the guest list, and then after the show, went out and we were smoking a joint and shit, and bullshitting with a couple
mhm.
other people. And I was sitting there just like taking this. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I've been listening to him on Tinfoil Hat, George Perez, and then we
Yeah.
don't smoke the same like for years. And I'm like, I'm sitting here chilling with him smoking a joint. I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool. Because like,
Yeah, and that's what's weird that you guys have been. I mean, I know you're one of them. There's a couple of them like Hood Hate Beast, Mad Ways. There's
yeah,
other members that you guys been hearing the podcast way longer than me, and it's just like, okay, it's I'm so stoked that I even got the chance to meet him that
yeah,
soon. So
yeah,
it's just like it was just like I met him once and then boom, just like everything opened.
good
Meet
peoples.
Zone, hang out with Be Real, Cycle Less, and Mad Ways, and little by little start hanging out with everybody. So it's like,
That's cool.
yeah,
It's super cool, especially like growing up on Be Real in Cypress Hill, like
Cypress Hill, correct.
yeah, you know, so
Them being because they're not that older from us either way. It's
hmm
not much of a big difference, maybe
right,
like under 10 years or
right,
so. Um, he's from Southgate, Linwood, Compton area. That side, it's like we grew up in all that.
okay,
So
yeah,
it's like just like you grew up your way with Cypress Hill, we had it local. So it's
right.
to us
It
it's
was
like
real.
a
It was
that
real to you
it's
guys. Yeah,
it was real to us. It's real to us.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, Browsy, I
100.
really appreciate your time. Why don't you let the listeners know where they can find you?
Okay, so you can find me on IG, TikTok, Browsee, obviously the spelling, and IG would be OG Browsee 420. Spell it out, LA, because IG obviously does not like
Yup,
cannabis.
does not.
So that would be it. I mean, other than that, you could always catch me at the chats in the Be Real chats,
Yeah,
Be Real show, or the We Don't Smoke the Same. Whatever,
awesome.
whenever they're on, you'll see me in the chats or say, "Hey, where's Browsy at?" Boom, there it is. I'm there, or
There it
somebody will
is.
find me. Somebody would find me. But yeah,
Appreciate you.
you could catch me there. And then if anybody ever needs anything, you support as well. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on. I mean,
Yes,
it's
sir.
something that I always look into being in a podcast, and you made my dream come true, my first one.
Hey,
So
look at
you
that.
actually popped my cherry,
There you go.
and
There
in
you
a
go.
funny way.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
I
yeah, I
appreciate your
appreciate it.
time because I like getting everybody. Everybody's got a story, and I seen how interactive you were with the podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I like to, curious to who you were and what your journey in
How did I
cannabis
became
was.
about?
Yeah, how it all came about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's my
Yeah.
thing with the podcast is everybody's got a story. So you just
Correct.
get curious and
You have to
try to
have
find out
just
who
to,
people are.
take, a little bit of time off your life and try to figure out like, okay, so, what got them, I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
your story, but you want to know who someone else's and say, what are they going through or what happened to them that, how did they end up here? here. So
Yeah, that's it. That's
so I,
it.
I mean,
Awesome, Browsy. Well, we really appreciate your time. Appreciate your support,
thank you.
and we will
Same here.
definitely be in touch soon. And we'll keep in contact in the future for sure.
Okay, thank
And
you. No, I appreciate it. Anything you might need from Cali, hey, just message.
appreciate
Won't
you.
happen.
Appreciate you. Uh,
A special care package out to you.
yeah, gotcha. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll let's see. This is gonna be Tuesday's episode, so we'll check in with everybody on Thursday. Appreciate it. Later.
Thank
Uh, yeah, roll up the green, hit the links with RGB. Pitch, putt, and puff, it's our podcast scene. Talking Burton Bogies, hole in one dream. Golf cart cruising, we're the illest team. Pitch, putt, and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff. Got my clubs in the trunk, blunt in the front. Tee off in the noon, cause we don't bunt. Discuss in the course, weed strains for lunch. Straight shooters on the greens, not a front. Pitch, put and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff. Smoking aces, laces tied tight. With a puff we fly, elevate the night. Golf ball soaring, higher than a kite. Fairway to heaven, shining real bright. Pitch, put and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's